Our next game changer conversation presented by the General Insurance is so legendary, this individual. I would need the entire show to walk through all of his credits. This man is the epitome of black excellence, and what he has done for the culture is absolutely unmatched. He's an Oscar-winning producer, author, and you know what I'm talking about, NYU film professor and the award-winning director of Do the Right Thing, Black Klansman, and She's Gotta Have It, but most importantly, he's a New York native, baby, so please get on your feet and join me in welcoming none other than Mr. Spike Lee. Brother, right here.
Is Brooklyn in the house? I know we're in Harlem.
Brooklyn's always in the house. I was in Siberia and Brooklyn was in the house.
How are you doing?
I am doing great. It is
wanted,
an honor
first of all,
and a privilege.
from the jump, from the get, I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, are you kidding
Can we
me?
give it
Thank
up?
you. Thank you. Man, I got so many stories. I want to get to this though. You know, FUBU had its first article in national publication in 1997. I was so afraid that I would actually never live up to the hype. I had never met you before. You were just a superhero and still are a superhero to me. I'm sitting in my office. I just got in an office and a letter came and it said it was notated by Spike Lee. And I opened up and a card just simply said, I see you. Do you even remember that? I don't think you even remember that. You know, I think it was 3 years ago, I walk into the Vanity Fair party, and you just won an Oscar, and I don't think you remember when I walked up to you and I said, I see you. It was a full circle moment for me. I don't think you realized all that you have done for me and for us and how you were so, and you had your own clothing line at the time. You had your own clothing line and you still were acknowledging me and I never met you. You don't play the game. You've never played the game and you started to find your own game. What do you say to those people who were saying, either should I shut up or should I go harder? What do you say to them?
Well, you have to pick your spots, number one. You have to pick your spots. Besides a filmmaker, I'm a teacher. For the last 20 years, I've been a teacher at NYU Graduate Film School, where I went. I'm also a tenured professor. And so my family is a long line of educators. And what I try to instill in my students is that they got to put the work in.
Yeah.
W-E-R-K. W-O-R-K is not going to get it. You got to put the E in A. The E in it. I mean, you got to work. Because that Hollywood scenario that the hand of God is going to come out of the sky and anoint you as the next motherfucker. Don't go for that. You have to work.
You saying I can't sit on my couch and talk shit about everybody else and expect to be saved?
I consider myself very blessed and lucky because I think that if you can make a living doing what you love, especially in the arts, you've won. Because majority of these people go to their grave having worked the job they hated all their life, but they're responsible adults, so they're going to do what they got to do to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. Clothes on backs, but with the exception of their family, there's no joy in that. But when you are doing what you love, it's not a job anymore.
Well, I mean, talking about creating your own path as one of the most powerful independent filmmakers, you still did start to work with others because you wanted to. And I don't know if people understand the effect of how you decided and they decided. I was just talking about how Nike's groundbreaking. You shot many of the Jordan commercials, and you were in there. And you were
I
very
played the character Mars that was from She's Gonna Have It with
right,
Michael.
and that could be considered very polarizing at the time because of your passion. Because you know, when you think about it, Nike going, we're going to get a black director.
No, there was no polarization with the commercial I did with Michael Jordan. That catapulted. I mean,
It
that
did,
in
but what I'm
stratosphere.
saying is a lot of public people who did not necessarily understand or want to appreciate certain art was like, why would you do that? Why don't you just go to a big old director like everybody else? Why this individual? But then you set Nike on a path.
What happened was, for those who might have seen the commercials, the character I played, Mars, was in She's Gonna Have It. And Mars wore Jordans.
There's nobody in here who hasn't seen that commercial, for sure.
So even when Mars was in the bed with Nola Darling, he didn't take his Jordans off. And two individuals at Wieden Kennedy, the advertising agency for Nike, saw She's Gotta Have It, and they got the idea to pair Mars with Michael Jordan. So there was one hitch. Michael had final say on the director, and they went to Michael. He did not heard of the film. He did not know who I was. And it wasn't until the All-Star game in Toronto, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, it was cold, that I finally got enough courage to ask Michael after all these years, why did you select me to be in this commercial with you and direct you? And he said, motherfucker, you wearing my shoes. So I've had the honor of Michael Jordan call me MF for many, many times. But think about this. He could have gotten any of the big Madison Avenue directors.
You're in I would think, the hardest industry in the world. You know, you made She's Gotta Have It in 1986 for $175,000. You raised that money, and that money ended up earning $7 million at the box office. But
8.5.
8.5. Well, don't get it messed up. 8.5. By a young man in Brooklyn with no money. He can't go and put little shorts on social media like you can now and send it around the world.
Different world. I know that today's generation has a much easier path to get there because of technology.
Right.
People are making feature films on their phones.
Feature films.
Feature films. And they edit it on their laptop. I mean, we didn't have the technology. You know, we had to shoot film.
How did you get $175,000?
Well, it was a miracle. But all jokes aside, I finished Morehouse in 1979 and went straight to film school at NYU, came home. And is it there that I learned my craft as a filmmaker? And while I was there, I met my brother. His name is Ernest Dickerson. Ernest went to Howard. I went to Morehouse. So he was the best cameraman in school. So we hooked up. So Ernest shot all my films at NYU. Then She's Gonna Have It, School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X.
Wow.
And then he went on to direct Tupac and Juice.
Wow.
But right away, we first came to NYU, there was a bomb because we went to black schools. So we had a plan. We knew that we could do this together. The money was raised in stages. Now, this is before digital technology. So the first stage was to shoot the film. Second stage, we get the money out the lab, go to shooting film. The third stage was very critical, was for me to raise money where I could edit the film but still have enough to...
How many no's and how long did that time take to raise that and get that?
Well, we were doing it in stages.
Okay,
So
how long were those stages, you think?
7, 8 months.
Okay.
So I was confident in the film. If I could get the money to edit, then I could have screenings for investors. And so we raised money. I have to give a shout out to my man, Earl Smith. Earl and I went to high school. I went to John Dewey High School in Coney Island. Earl's mother had just died. He had a check for insurance from his mother's death for $15,000. And he gave me that. He said, Spike, take it for the movie. This was She's Gonna Have It came out in 1986. He is still receiving residual checks from that. And on top of that, he was able to buy a brownstone in Fort Greene.
Yeah.
So,
Angel investor.
I didn't ask him. And I didn't want to take the money.
He believed in you, though.
And then I can't leave out my grandmother. My grandmother put me through Morehouse and also NYU Graduate Film School. She gave me the seed money for my thesis film, Joe's Bedside Barbershop, We Cut Heads, and also the seed money for She's Gonna Have It. Now, this is key. I would not here be on the stage if I didn't have the support from my family. And knowing where we are as a people, where we've come from, there's a tendency amongst black parents to discourage their sons and daughters from being in the arts because it's not guaranteed. So they tell you, go to college, a lawyer, a doctor, you know, in business. We succumb to parental pressure and choose a path which is not what you want to do. And many years later, you end up hating your parents because you're miserable, you're working at a job that you hate. But they believed in me, like a lot of other people, and I was able to, make a path my way. But I have to say, for the parents in the house, please don't kill your children's dreams. Encourage them.
Thank you for that game changer point and that conversation. And thank you to the General Insurance for having this conversation. And more importantly, thank you to Spike Lee for breaking down boundaries and constantly educating us and representing New York at its fullest. Give it up for Spike Lee.
Hello.